What's up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are going to be breaking down Mike Evans and looking at his fantasy outlook heading into the 2020 season, going from Jameis Winston to Tom Brady. What can we expect from Mike Evans? Before we get into that, make sure you check out the rest of our channel. We are breaking down over 100 players like this, so hit that like and subscribe button for more. And also check out our website at fantasyaddictionnetwork.com. You can sign up for free, but we've already unleashed our rankings. You can see our full rankings projections, which will be updated all the way up until kickoff. So make sure you check that out. But anyway, let's talk about Mike Evans. Now, last year, Mike Evans was the epitome of what you would consider a boom bust receiver, giving you a ceiling of above 40 points and a floor of absolute zero. It was really hard to get a read on whether or not you were happy with what Mike Evans did last year, and considering how many passing targets Jameis Winston was throwing, it was a bit disappointing whenever Mike Evans would put up a really crappy game. But we'll get into a little bit as to why there might be some hope on the horizon. So looking at his 2019 stats, though, 67 receptions, but 1,157 receiving yards, 8 total touchdowns, and then misses the final 3 games with a hamstring strain. Finishes with 232.7 fantasy points, giving him the 15th most at the position, just outside wide receiver ones, but missing 3 games. Most likely would have finished as a low-end wide receiver 1 had he been able to finish the season, averaging 14.8 fantasy points per game. That put him right at 22. Now, as we discussed, multiple disappointing games, 5 weeks in the red, although one of those was above 10 points. Typically, if you can at least expect 10 points from a player, that's good. But having a 4.8 game in week 1, a 0 in week 5, those can really kill you. But then, again, stealing of 45 points, 42 points, 36, this guy was so good on those weeks. If you had him, he pretty much won your entire week. This is the kind of guy that when you play in best ball leagues, just is an absolute difference maker at the wide receiver position. It just sucks when you then follow up your 42 and 36 point game with 5 straight weeks of not being able to finish even as a wide receiver too. So what can we expect things to turn around, or do we expect this to get worse with Tom Brady under center there in Tampa Bay? So first, we need to applaud Mike Evans for hitting 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. I believe Randy Moss is the only other receiver to do that in his first 5 years. So Mike Evans has been a truly dominant force in the NFL, and while it hasn't always turned into consistent fantasy production, it has been prolific and high volume year over year. So good on Mike Evans for doing that, and you can't deny that he is a great receiver. Last year, he had 30 deep targets, which was the 4th most in the NFL. Now, a lot of narrative has said that, well, Tom Brady can't throw deep anymore, but as we discussed in our Tom Brady video, he actually had top 10 deep targets and top 10 deep target accuracy. And arguably, we can probably expect the deep targets that Tom Brady throws to be more accurate than the ones that Jameis Winston threw. So that could actually lead to Mike Evans having a more efficient season. If he's getting all those deep targets, he might actually do a little bit better in the yards after the catch, where he's finished 36th and he's finished in the mid 30s for multiple years now. So if we see the yards per catch go up, even if his receptions don't go up like crazy, that would really help his efficiency and increase his fantasy points and also give him a higher floor. Yards per target, 9.8. That puts him at number 15. But his target quality rating last year was 5.5, which was 61st. So, and also his target accuracy rating was 6.33, which is 93rd. So terrible accuracy, bad quality of targets for Mike Evans last year. But he didn't help matters by having a 44th best catch rate of 82.7%, and the true catch rate is factoring out drops and uncatchable targets. So that's more on him. All that being said, we're moving forward with the assumption that Brady still has it. Looking at his deep ball accuracy and the amount of deep passes that he threw last year, this could actually be a really phenomenal year for Mike Evans, even if his receptions go down. It's very likely that his overall yards per catch go up. He's more efficient, and he could still be used in the red zone heavily. Now, Robert Gronkowski being there does definitely throw a wrench into the mix. Without Gronk, Mike Evans would have been much higher in our rankings. We are expecting Gronk to siphon some touchdowns from him, so it definitely limits his upside, but not dramatically. So when we look at where we expect Mike Evans to finish, we have him at 74 receptions, 1,126 receiving yards, and 8 total touchdowns. But this could very well, again, be his floor. We still have an upside ranking of 4/5. If Chris Godwin is to go down, or, I mean, we don't even know at this point if Tom Brady is going to end up favoring one receiver over another. It could be another boom bust situation where he gets the majority of these receiving yards and receptions in like 4 or 5 games, but I'm expecting there to be a bit higher of a floor and probably a little lower of a ceiling for Mike Evans with Tom Brady coming into town. They're not going to have to go into as many crazy shootouts like they did in years past with Jameis Winston throwing 30 interceptions, but with higher quality targets deep down the field, I think you can expect Mike Evans to have a bit higher of a floor this year, making him a safer pick. And his ADP, at least as of recent, has been dropping considerably. I've been seeing him go late third, early fourth round. So if you're able to get him as your wide receiver 2, after grabbing 2 stud running backs near the end of the first and beginning of the second, and then grabbing 2 receivers in the third and fourth, I mean, Mike Evans as a wide receiver going to the end of the third round, I feel like his upside is definitely there. I think the conversation over Tom Brady not being able to support him is a little bit overblown. I mean, if Tom Brady is washed, then that changes everything, but we're operating under the guise of, or under the notion that Tom Brady still has it and is going to be able to produce in this offense. We know that Mike Evans is going to command targets, and although Chris Godwin is most likely going to be the better receiver to own, you can get Mike Evans at a round later of a value. That's definitely something you're going to want to consider heading into the fantasy season as you get ready for your drafts. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you guys in the next video.